Hi all and welcome back to the garage. I'm in the midst of doing the electrical stuff on the bike, and today we're going to be installing some extra power. So this is a 3-prong kit from Eastern Beaver. Should be a very simple install. Hook up to the battery, put in the fuses. There's a main fuse coming in from the battery, and then you can choose 3 fuses here. You get 3 power outlets here, and also this connects to the 6-lead connector underneath the passenger seat of the bike, which will let this be a switched power. You can get these kits in 2 different editions. I have the one where all 3 power outlets are switched. You can get it configured so that one of them is always live and the 2 other are switched powers. So all this happens through the integrated relay here. The bike is already in pieces, so let's just go ahead and install it. So just to make this a bit easier, I've disconnected the terminals and pulled the battery slightly out. I didn't bother removing the crash protection, which I will need to do in order to remove the battery fully. But anyways, I'm going to be placing this this kit under the seat. So I'll just pull the positive wire to the battery, and I'll connect the ground to the back, because the lead is just too short to reach the grounding terminal up here. But we can use any point back there basically. So having this going down here, feed the positive wire through here inside of the frame, and then we'll stick that, put the battery slightly in to reach the terminals. This is the positive wire from the heated grips install, which I should be, yeah, I can do that at the same time. Move that up and feed that from the power kit instead, making it slightly nicer. We'll fix that later. So we'll just connect these into the battery. So you probably won't be able to see the install in here, but basically the battery has a closed terminal where you need to set the nut on the inside and then put the bolt through the connecting terminals. So put through the wire from the Eastern Beaver power kit and the main positive wire for the bike, and just try to match it up. That, and then just push the battery in. Make sure and then there is room to get the wire, the positive wire for the Eastern Beaver kit, to just make it on the back side of the battery cover here. Should fit nicely. And then to finish up the install, use a 5mm Allen key to install the negative terminal. If you have the Outback Motortech protection, or you have another bar that restricts your access to the port, it's an idea to use one of these Allen keys, which are rounded, so you can get a bit of an angle on it. Pick up the negative terminal, pull it back in, like that. So once you have the positive terminal in order down there, you need to connect the negative terminal, this one. Sorry for the mess. None of these really matter at all. This was just too short to reach the connection point on the frame up there. So I've been fiddling around, measuring, and I kind of landed on using the bolt here for the negative terminal. I've checked the connectivity, that's fine. So just loosen up this bolt here, which holds the rear stuff. Place the terminal down there. I'll need to double check that it doesn't interfere with the seat, but I'm fairly sure that'll be okay. So once the negative terminal is in place, I'm really hoping this doesn't interfere with the seat. I'll zip tie it down, of course. We'll see how that works out. Might have to move it. You can use the bolts on the, which holds the small crossbar on the back of the tank. The only downside of that is, yeah, you'll have to disconnect it in order to remove the tank smoothly. Anyway, as soon as that is on, the last thing is to install the 6-point connector here. This connector back here normally sits in a blind plug under the passenger seat. This holds both always live and switched power. In order to make the install slightly smoother, there is just enough cable here that you can put it underneath the crossbar under the passenger seat. So you can make it double back on itself. You should be able to pull just enough cable through to make that connection like that. And this can just sit down here, zip tie it down in order to make it slightly smoother. That should be alright. And by now we should have power in the terminals. I haven't installed the fuses yet, but this should give us 3 power outlets here. You can also order the connecting plugs so you don't have to cut the wires and everything. So I'll be hooking up the heated grips and also the auxiliary lights on here and put in the matching fuses in the back here. And then we can just Velcro everything down on the cover plate that sits in the bottom here underneath the fuse box and everything. I'll button everything up on the next video, which will be the auxiliary light installation of the Denali lights. So you can watch the end of that video if you need to see how everything comes together. Hope that helped someone. I'll see you on the next one.